Never shall innocent blood be shed, yet the blood of the wicked shall flow like a river. The three shall spread their blackened wings and be the vengeful striking hammer of God. You people have been chosen to reveal our existence to the world. You will witness what happens here today, and you will tell of it later. All eyes to the front. You must watch, dear. It'll all be over soon.
Now you will receive us. We do not ask for your poor or your hungry. We do not want your tired and sick.
It is your corrupt we claim.
It is your evil that will be sought by us.
With every breath, we shall hunt them down.
Each day, we will spill their blood till it rains down from the skies.
Do not kill, do not rape, do not steal. These are principles which every man of every faith can embrace.
These are not polite suggestions. These are codes of behavior. And those of you that ignore them will pay the dearest cost.
There are varying degrees of evil. We urge you lesser forms of filth, not to push the bounds and cross over into true corruption, into our domain.
For if you do, one day you will look behind you and you will see we three. And on that day, you will reap it.
And we will send you to whatever God you wish.
And shepherds we shall be, for thee, my Lord, for thee. Power hath descended forth from thy hand. May swiftly carry out thy command. So we shall flow ever forth to thee, and teeming with souls shall it ever be.
In nomine Patri.
Et Filii, Spiritus Sancti.
How far are we going to take this, Star?
The question is not how far. The question is, do you possess the Constitution, the depth of faith to go as far as is needed?
Good evening. I think I'm gonna stir up some trouble tonight.
Oh, again? Is this what we do every Wednesday?
Well, to a greater or lesser degree. I'm hoping it's greater tonight.
We're here
Steve
for
is
it.
stirring stuff up again.
So,
Uh,
we stream on Wednesday nights here on our channel, and on Saturdays, Saturday morning, we stream on Elena's Bar Fitness. And our topic, the last 2 weeks, is it started with 3 concepts. Basically, a man needs to be dominant. Then a woman, or a dominant over a woman, she likes that. Then attraction is there. Then she should be the object of his desire and the subject of his love. So these 3 aspects. So we've done 2 of those. We're going to do to the 3rd. But I actually developed it a little bit further, and as I got in, I came up with a topic. So,
oh
the
no.
title tonight is War Bride Sociology.
Steve, come on.
Yeah.
This doesn't happen, does it?
Well, we'll find out. I mean, the war bride, that's a term that's just thrown around in the manosphere or the red pill world a lot. And okay.
What's a war bride then?
Oh, what are you asking? What's the genesis of war bride?
No, just what is a war bride?
We'll get there.
I know.
In the red pill, they talk about evopsych. Well, back in the caveman days, blah, 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 blah. Well, okay, I'll get to what a war bride is, but let's start in the beginning.
Oh.
And so this is Genesis 3. This is after the fall. And let me read this. To the woman, God said, he said, I will make your pains in childbearing very severe. With painful labor, you will give birth to children. Your desire will be for your husband, and he will rule over you. To Adam, he said, because you listened to your wife and ate fruit from the tree about which I commanded you, you must not eat it. Cursed is the ground because of you. Through painful toil, you will eat food from it all the days of your life. It will produce thorns and thistles for you, and you will eat the plants of the field. By the sweat of your brow, you will eat your food until you return to the ground, since from it you were taken. For dust you are, and dust you will return. Adam named his wife Eve, because she would become the mother of all living. Now, let me point out some things for you. First of all, God had a lot more words for Adam than he did for the woman. In some ways, his penalty is greater than hers.
Oh, Steve. No, you can never tell women that there is any pain greater than childbirth. You're just going to get us taken off YouTube right now, aren't you?
Okay, but that's for a day. But man is going to be in painful toil all the days of his life. Maybe intensity, okay, whatever. But in duration, I think the man's got it worse. But okay, whatever. That's debatable.
And he has to deal with that desire to be for her husband and he having to rule over her.
Right. And that commandment was to the woman.
Mm-hmm.
Tell man to rule over her. He told the woman he will rule over you. So it's really a command to her, not for him, because you know what? Earlier, Adam was created with dominion,
Right.
was created to be a helpmeet. Okay, so how do we know that Adam maintained his dominion? Oh, look at verse 20.
Yep. He's naming again.
Adam named all the animals because he had dominion. Adam named his wife. So in verse 16, she's just the woman. She doesn't get her name until Adam gives her her name. So he's showing his authority.
Right. But now he has to deal with the rebellious nature of woman. Now, before is more harmonious, right? Before the fall. Now he has to deal with that rebellious character.
So does God love us?
Yeah.
Okay, but he brought pain to the woman and pain to the man. Oh, I thought bringing pain, causing hurt, is a bad thing. Okay, I'm just pointing that out here.
Abuse.
Did God abuse mankind here?
No.
Okay, well, there was a penalty, there was pain involved. Okay, it is what it is. So pain in itself is not a bad thing because God has authority. And authority means imparting justice. Was what God said, was it just?
Oh yeah. But if this was a modern female, but that's abusive.
Okay, yeah, well, let's keep that thought because we will get into it.
There's a consequence, so therefore it's got to be abuse, right?
So I'm saying the war bride
Yeah.
sociology is captured here. I'm
Right.
not calling it psychology. I'm calling it sociology because it applies to all people, all mankind. So now here's 4 pages that I'm going to go to. So let's see. Add to stage. Oop. Okay. War bride. What is a war bride? War brides are women who married military personnel from other countries in times of war or during military operations, a practice that occurred in great frequency during World War I and World War II. Allied servicemen married many women from other countries where they were stationed at the end of the war, including United States, the United Kingdom, Australia, New Zealand, China, Japan, France, Italy, Greece, Germany, Poland, Luxembourg, Thailand, Vietnam, the Philippines, Taiwan, Korea, and the Soviet Union. Similar marriages also occurred in Korea and Vietnam, with the later wars in those countries involving U.S. troops and other anti-communist soldiers. So, okay, here's the thing. Okay, that's a term for war bride. What did these men possess at the time? They were the winners. They were the victors.
They were the
Have you ever
warriors.
heard? They were warriors. Have you ever heard anybody say, yeah, women just wait at the finish line to see who the winner is and choose a
Yep,
winner?
that's a common phrase in the RP. Yep, Manosphere.
Made popular by Rich Cooper. So shout out to him.
Yep.
Yep. So,
And he also says this thing. The problem of a fighter. If you ever in a fight, don't ever let your woman watch, because she will be disgusted. Even if you could be the top fighter and you can get knocked out or lose, and then she'll lose attraction to you.
yeah. So the next one we're going to go to is Stockholm Syndrome. Oops. Oh, I got to remove. Okay, now I can add. Okay, Stockholm Syndrome is a proposed condition or theory that tries to explain why hostages sometimes develop a psychological bond with their captors. Emotional bonds can possibly be formed between captors and captives during intimate time together, but these are considered irrational by some in light of the danger or risk endured by the victims. Stockholm Syndrome has never been included in the DSM, the standard tool for diagnosis of psychiatric illnesses and disorders in the United States, mainly due to the lack of a consistent body of academic research and doubts about the legitimacy of the condition. So this occurred when Jan Erik Olsson, a convict on parole, took 4 employees, 3 women and 1 man, hostage during a failed bank robbery of the Kreditbanken, one of the largest banks in Stockholm, Sweden. He negotiated a release from prison of his friend Clark Olofsson to assist him. They held the hostages captive for 6 days in one of the bank vaults. When the hostages were released, none of them would testify against either captor in court. Instead, they began raising money for their defense. Nils Bergljot, a Swedish criminologist and psychologist, invented the term after the Stockholm police asked him for assistance with analyzing the victims' reactions to the 1973 bank robbery. Okay, let's skip down. According to accounts by Kristen and Mark, one of the hostages, the police were acting incompetently with little care for the hostages' safety. This forced the hostages to negotiate for their lives and release with the robbers on their own. In the process, the hostages saw the robbers behaving more rationally than the police negotiators and subsequently developed a deep distrust towards the latter. And Mark had criticized Bergljot specifically for endangering their lives by behaving aggressively and agitating the captors. She had criticized the police for pointing guns at the convicts while the hostages were in the line of fire. She had told news outlets that one of the captors tried to protect the hostages from being caught in the crossfire. She was also critical of Prime Minister Olof Palme. She had negotiated with the captors for freedom, but the prime minister told her she would have to content herself with dying at her post rather than Palme giving in to the captors' demands. So, okay, key points here. She formed a relationship. There was a hierarchy here. A dominant man, a woman. Okay, there's he may not have not always treated her well, but then he fed her and he showed her acts of kindness and he talked to her. And then he showed some protection for her against outside forces. And what happened? He refused to testify against him when he was brought to trial. does our wives, is it in the law that a wife is not required to testify against her husband?
That's
Yes.
correct.
Gee, most of the time she doesn't want to, except in divorce court. Okay, she rebelled, and that's a different story.
Yeah,
Oh,
well, Steve, she's getting paid to. She's getting paid to by a more powerful entity.
right.
No,
Oh.
this actually plays through to why it happens in divorce court. It's the same thing.
Okay, Steve.
So,
Steve,
go ahead.
there's an interesting thing at the top. They have this rational criticism of women, right? Saying this is not rational. I'm like, and you're assuming women are going to be rational? No, they're led about their feels.
Right, I think it's
It
somewhere down below. They
was
talk
up above.
about on symptoms, 4 key components. Okay, let's read this. A
Positive
hostage's
feelings.
development of positive feelings, no previous relationship between the hostage and the captor, a refusal by the hostages to cooperate with the police and other government authorities, a hostage's belief in the humanity of the captor, ceasing to perceive them as a threat when the victim holds the same values as the aggressor.
You see the same
So,
thing in the women that are, excessive force, or you would say are used against the woman partner in a relationship. A lot of times they still fanatically cling to the man.
yeah.
I'm probably jumping ahead though.
No, that's fine.
Yeah.
Okay, so now we're going to look at traumatic bonding. Okay, trauma bonds are emotional bonds that arise from a cyclical pattern of, I'm reading it from the other screen, of abuse. Oh, yeah, that word. A trauma bond occurs in an abusive relationship wherein the victim forms an emotional bond with the perpetrator. This concept was developed by psychologists Donald Dutton and Susan Painter. The two main factors that contribute to the establishment of a trauma bond are a power imbalance and intermittent reward and punishment. Trauma bond can occur within romantic relationships, platonic friendships, parent-child relationships, incestuous relationships, cults, hostage situations, sex trafficking, especially that of minors, hazing, or tours of duty among military personnel. Trauma bonds are based on terror, dominance, and unpredictability. As a trauma bond between an abuser and a victim strengthens, it can lead to cyclical patterns of conflicting emotions. Frequently, victims in trauma bonds do not have agency, autonomy, or an individual sense of self. Their self-image is an internalization of the abuser's conceptualization of them. Trauma bonds can have severe detrimental effects on the victim. Some long-term impacts of trauma bonding include remaining in abusive relationships, adverse mental health outcomes like low self-esteem and negative self-image, an increased likelihood of depression and bipolar disorder, and perpetuating a general cycle of abuse. Victims who develop trauma bonds are often unable or unwilling to leave these relationships. Many abuse victims who experience trauma bonding return to the abusive relationship. So, okay, let's read the establishment. Trauma bonds are formed in abused abuser or victim victimizer dynamics. A victim can form a trauma bond with an abuser in the presence of a perceived threat from the abuser. Trauma bonds also form when the victim believes the abuser will follow through with a threat. When the victim perceives some form of kindness from the abuser, when the victim is isolated from outsider perspectives, when the victim perceives a lack of ability or capacity to leave the situation. Gee, what do you think about this?
Well, I hear a lot of leftist in there.
I forget. I was going to read one paragraph differently, but I don't remember which one it is now. Here's the negative self-appraisal can maximize the emotional dependency on the abuser and the cyclical nature of this dependency. Now, let me point something out here. There's a power imbalance. Okay, I'll just read this one, and let me change some of the words. Marriage bonds are formed in a husband and wife dynamic. A wife can form a bond with a husband in the presence of a perceived difference in power and authority. These bonds also form when the wife believes the husband will follow through on his leadership or decisions. And when the wife perceives some form of kindness from the husband. When the wife is isolated from outsider perspectives. Oh, wait, isn't there something in the Bible about leave and cleave and honeymoon and isolation? Yeah.
Yeah.
And when the wife perceives a lack of ability or capacity to leave the situation. Hey, like marriage vows for life that you cannot break, supposedly.
Right. I like how you switched that up. Of course, we're not advocating, any sort of violence here, but
No, it exactly. I mean, I'm just saying this dynamic, this bond, in different words, it kind of describes the marriage bond. Now,
well, there's a hierarchy. There's a power indifference. Yeah, there's covenants. There's There's supposed to be guardrails where there's an inability to leave. Correct?
Well, it's not
exactly.
certainly not supposed to be easy to leave, and the women don't really like in their biology. They don't. It actually is easier for them to leave, and I think the divorce system exploits that because of this this war bride problem, right?
Well,
And so the Bible is putting external boundaries on female nature.
and you notice what's stressed here is a power imbalance. That's hierarchy. That's patriarchy. What's pushed in our current society? Equality, egalitarianism. There should be no power imbalance. So therefore, kind of reading into this, a traditional marriage is kind of definitionally abusive. Oh, let me read this part, and then I want Plutarch to comment on it. Intermittent reinforcement of rewards and punishments is crucial to establishing and maintaining a trauma bond. In trauma bonding, the abuser intermittently maltreats the victim through physical, verbal, emotional, and psychological abuse. This maltreatment is interspersed with positive behaviors like expressing affection and care, showing kindness, giving the victim gifts, and promising not to repeat the abuse. Alternating and sporadic periods of good and bad treatment serve to reinforce the victim intermittently.
Okay. I have lots of thoughts on that. The first is this could be easily mistaken for how to raise children. What do we do with children? There's positive reinforcement and there's negative reinforcement, right? Do this bad thing, you get punished. Do this good thing, you get a bonus of depending on the age of the kid, it'll be different, right? Okay, that's one aspect of it. The other aspect I see here is that this, I think, gets massively overplayed. It's like if a man is disciplining you as if you're a child, your first response is not like this trauma bonding thing doesn't just start at the age of 18, right? It's not, oh, you're a kid, we can do these things to you. Oh, you turned 18, all of a sudden you can't do this anymore. No, that's not okay. So the reality is that this is how you build discipline. And I think this is just getting overused in society today to, I don't know, get out of consequences, most likely.
So what happens if you praise a child every day and say you're such a good girl, such a good boy, and when they do something wrong, you swoop in to fix the problem, don't hold them accountable, excuse their behavior. Oh, you just had a bad day. It's really not your fault. What happens to that child?
Spare the rod, spoil the child.
Yeah. Spoiled, useless, worthless would actually be a great word to describe them. They're valueless.
Now, this doesn't apply to wives, does it? You should actually praise your wife every day, right?
Yeah. No. I mean, but see, I read this and it's like, okay, yeah, I'm married. What are you saying that I can never say, hey, Elena, you fucked up. This is going to cost you. No, I have to be able to say that. And it's not necessarily about something she did to me. She makes mistakes in life too. I make mistakes. And you look at the other person and you go, you fucked up. This is going to cost you. Okay. Now that can also be, relational mistakes too. And it's not abuse when somebody comes in and says, you screwed up, so now I'm going to impose a consequence on you.
But that's how modern women will use it.
Of course, yes.
Anything resulting in consequences for their behavior, they will somehow link it to some sort of abuse. To the fact that something that they enjoy, they'll now say, oh, well, I now regret that. So therefore, I retroactively call it abuse.
Okay. So let's move on to operant conditioning. Operant conditioning, also called instrumental conditioning, is a learning process in which voluntary behaviors are modified by association with the addition or removal of reward or adverse stimuli. The frequency or duration of the behavior may increase through reinforcement or decrease through punishment or extinction. Operant conditioning originated with Edward Thorndike, whose law of effect theorized that behaviors arise as a result of consequences as satisfying or discomforting. In the 20th century, operant conditioning was studied by behavioral psychologists who believed that much of mind and behavior is explained through environmental conditioning. Reinforcements are both environmental stimuli that increase behaviors, whereas punishments are stimuli that decrease behaviors. Both kinds of stimuli can be further categorized into positive and negative stimuli, which respectively involve the addition or removal of environmental stimuli. Okay, aren't they talking about the same thing?
A bit, yeah. I'll also, yeah, they are. I'll put my criticism here. This is behavioralism. It has some legitimacy, but it's also limited because it rejects nature. It assumes like you can just condition somebody to whatever you want them to be without addressing their fundamental nature or the
True, but
fundamental
in the
nature of
context I'm
personality.
using it,
Yeah, right.
the person applying the behavior modification would be the person in authority,
Right.
a hierarchy.
Hmm.
And so in a marriage, the hierarchy is husband over wife, but the husband reports to God, the wife reports to the husband, and through the husband to God.
Right.
So the husband is not a tyrant. It's not up to him to do whatever the hell he pleases because he is accountable to a higher authority. Just like at work. You work for a boss. You're accountable to your boss. Your boss is not accountable to you, but he is accountable to someone higher above him. Oh, and if he's a CEO, he's accountable to the board of directors or the shareholders or the law. There are rules that he has to follow, but no, he's not accountable to you, except in the more general sense, as you're both humans and we're all expected to have a certain level of decency and conduct.
Yeah, don't. Well, it's noblesse oblige. Don't be a dick to the people working for you, because they'll leave, they'll sabotage your company. Like, and it makes sense. So, yeah, just don't be a dick to the people underneath you. And look, that rule applies to women too. You don't have to be a flaming asshole to women to keep them in line. You don't. I do it every day without being a flaming asshole most days. Occasionally, she pushes me to have to be a flaming asshole. I'm not afraid of it, but she brings it on herself. And it's a pretty rare thing now because she understands roughly where the line is.
Okay, so they're putting this in psychological conditioning. Reinforcement increases a certain kind of behavior. Punishment decreases the behavior, or negative reinforcement. Call it whatever you want. And so you're guiding. This creates discipline. It certainly works in children, and they certainly need this because a child who is not raised knowing the difference between right and wrong is not going to be a very trustworthy person later on in life. And they're going to lack the self-discipline and the self-control to make good choices in their life. So, oh, wait, B.F. Skinner. Yeah, he did this too. He was one of these behavioral psychologists. So, without endorsing this, I'm just saying, hey, we're seeing similar themes here. A dominance or authority, pain and pleasure, or punishment and reward. Oh, wait, back to the War Bride. Was there a dominance there?
Yeah.
Yeah, the warrior, the winner. And that hierarchy made these women come to the man. And you know what? He's a scary man because you know what? If he was a warrior, he probably killed people. But women don't like men who kill others, do they, Nick?
Oh, hybristophilia? Is that where we're going?
Oh, what
Well,
was
that's an
that?
aspect of that. What? That's like where all these women want to have sexual relations with these serial killers or these people that take somebody out, you know. It's kind of this
Well,
dark
somehow
fetish. Yeah.
they are attracted to these violent men.
Yeah.
Okay, they're attracted to a man capable of violence. And then if that man is nice to them, they form a bond. And they think if that man is capable of violence towards others, he's capable of protecting her.
Right.
And they assume
Say that again, you cut out.
and they assume that he will protect, that the violent man will protect
Right.
her, which is actually mostly untrue.
So now we're gonna get to the fun stuff. Okay. Now these things are not all don't always equate together, but balance and order. Okay, I just came up with these combinations here. My screen was freaking out on me here. Let me try it again. Now, I guess I'll just go back to the small. Okay, so in marriage, I talked about she is a subordinate. She's the object of desire. She's a subject of love. Okay, now let's put together three other things: pain, pleasure, praise, work, play, rest, restrain, release, reward, dominate, desire, love, spank, fuck, hug. Now, I'm not really advocating punishment or any abuse here. It's just, look, there's variability here. And I'm going to get into this. If a woman doesn't feel subordinate to you, doesn't look up to you, basically, she does not want your desire. And then she doesn't value your love, and she won't respect you. So you can't. Women say they want security. Men here, oh, she wants stability. Oh, she wants calmness. Well, I'm going to
No.
let's calm everything down. And then what does a woman do?
It freaks out.
She
Drama.
creates drama. She brings variability. And then the man tries to calm the drama down. Well, maybe there's too much boring in the relationship. If you smack a woman on the butt and say, "Hey, you're looking good," okay, it's going to cause a reaction in her. What is that reaction? Wait, it's endorphins. What have you heard about that runner's high? I'm not a runner, but if you're running and you just get hit the wall and it's just painful, and then you get this release of endorphins, you are experiencing pain that releases the endorphins. And people love that. Okay, now the desire. Okay, when you fall in love, that intense sexual desire, just being around that person. That's dopamine. That's puppy love. That's that initial first 6 months of a relationship. It's like you're on cocaine, and it's been described that way. You just high on dopamine. And then during the love or the act of love, you get that hit of oxytocin. So let me bring up this next one. Okay, remove. Okay, and here's what happens to your body and brain when you orgasm. Part of your logical brain shuts down during sex. Oh, yeah, you get your brain reset. You know, and they talk about, oh, lots of parts of your brain are involved. When you orgasm, there's a surge of dopamine. Oxytocin is released during orgasm and breastfeeding. It stimulates your brain, gives off chemicals, make you less sensitive to pain during sex. Okay, you know, I just want to point out that these hormones are an important part of life. So, is it wrong to include or accept that these different aspects should occur in a marriage and that some balance of these creates enhances the bond? If you give your wife a little bit of pain, not out of anger, not out of abuse, and then you give her pleasure, and then occasionally praise intermittently, is the bond going to increase?
Yes, it does.
Probably.
So, is from a Christian perspective, is this a problem?
Some
Well,
will
for
think it will. They'll say it will be, but then their reading and their secret what'd you call it? Their reading pleasure and their secret uh corn life reveals that it is important.
Okay, so you're talking about a woman's internal desires and actions.
Correct. Well, 50 Shades, and then they got some pretty. I don't know. Plutarch knows the stats on Cornhub and what women like, and
oh, yeah, we did an episode on this goodness over a year ago now, and women are the freakier of the two. I've
So,
just
Nick,
summarized it that way.
if you went to the church elders and you told them, yeah, I dominate my wife, I sexually objectify her, but I really love her, would they say, good for you?
probably not.
Oh,
Oh, they got problems. The last person you want to take that advice from is generally your your church these days.
Yeah, all I heard,
Yes, I
Steve, when you asked the question was to Greta Thunberg, how dare you?
so they would tell the man he's not being nice. No, oh, you shouldn't sexually objectify your wife. How degrading. And what? You dominate? She's subordinate to you? You mean you don't listen to your wife? Oh, you're just supposed to love her. You try that. What happens? If you try to get rid of two of these, well, the first one, subordinate, if you're not dominant, she's not going to accept your desire, and your love is meaningless.
It leads to contempt, disrespect or discontentment, and then ultimately to what's it called? Contempt or revulsion.
Well, disrespect. She loses
Yeah.
respect, and she develops contempt. And the next thing is rebellion and betrayal.
Yeah.
So now we were talking about the nature of women. I found some information on women. Hazardous materials safety data sheet. Now,
Are you saying women?
Oh my goodness.
When you have to go to work and you're dealing with risky things, they got this booklet someplace. It's required by law that you have to know what you're dealing with.
I love this.
So the element is woman. The symbol is WO. The discoverer of this element was Adam. The atomic mass accepted as 118 pounds, but known to vary from 110 to 550 pounds. The occurrence, there are copious quantities throughout the world. Now let's find out some more about this. Physical properties. The surface is usually covered with a painted film. It boils at nothing, freezes without reason. Melts if given special treatment. It's bitter if incorrectly used. Oh, this one's important. Found in various states ranging from virgin metal to common ore. And yields to pressure applied to correct points.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, Steve, this is brilliant.
Chemical properties. She has a great affinity for gold, silver, platinum, and precious stones. Absorbs great quantities of expensive substances.
Very true.
May explode spontaneously without warning and for no known reason. Indissoluble in liquids, but activity greatly increased by saturation in alcohol. And this one is really important. The most powerful money-reducing agent known to man.
Oh,
yeah.
so true.
Oh, it's got more.
Common uses. Highly ornamental, especially in sports cars. Can be a great aid to relaxation.
Mm-hmm.
It's a very effective cleaning agent.
Well, some of them are.
I take, yeah.
The tests. Pure specimen turns rosy pink when discovered in natural state. I guess that's without other clothing on, huh? and turns green when placed beside a better specimen.
Yep.
Okay, the hazards. Highly dangerous, except in experienced hands.
Even then,
Yeah.
And it's illegal to possess more than one, although several can be maintained at different locations as long as specimens do not come into direct contact with each other. Now, okay, there is a huge warning here. Prolonged exposure to this element can cause severe physical, mental, and financial damage.
you know, I was just talking about that on Twitter. Guys, even with your wife, let's say you're married or in a long-term relationship, it is so much effort to restrain a woman that very frequently it ends up just being easier to not, to just give in and give them what they want. And they know that. But this idea that men can get out here and routinely go out and interact with these absolute toxic whores on podcast panel shows, etc., and somehow maintain their frame throughout and somehow maintain their physical and mental state. Like, they might be able to maintain their physical, but their mental state, like, it is in men's nature to desire to not hurt women. Okay. So after a period of time, you're just going to give up and give in. It could be to your wife. It could be to the retarded bimbo on the panel show. It doesn't matter. You're going to start caving on your principles. In fact, and I want to say this, there is a reason why there are no women on this podcast. Yes, I understand that we included Elena's eulogy in our episode with Thor. That was for a specific reason, and she was not directly talking or communicating with us. Right? That was for, that was really for, the purposes of that episode. So we here do not see any value in this this idea that you need to get on a panel show with lots of different women and we need to interact with women. No, you do not need to debate stupid women online. The correct answer for all women is to ignore them until proven otherwise. Because of exactly what Steve is talking about right here. Prolonged exposure can cause severe mental, physical, and financial damage. In fact, I would say it will cause severe physical, mental, and financial damage. Now, you could say, oh, but what about... Go ahead, Nick.
That's why I don't go out and go hang with the girls. I'll hang with the boys. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I might be with one of my sisters or something, but that's family and that's just what you do. But I don't hang out with women.
Yeah, and family's in kind of a separate bucket anyway, since you're biologically kind of icked out by them,
Right.
So,
that
aside,
let me point something out. This was humorous, but you have to manage a woman. You have to know how to handle it. It regards work. You have to be in control.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. You have to be dominant.
Yes.
Now, why don't you hang out with other women who are not your wife? Because you don't have authority over them.
You can't do the things that that are necessary.
You cannot manage him. It's not your job.
Yep.
It's impossible. One man can really only manage one woman. And yes, he needs to manage her. That's why I started out with Genesis. He
Well, and
will rule over her. It's necessary.
guys, I'm speaking from experience here. One man and one woman is a metric fuck ton of work for the man. Elena has different men in her life, including my dad and her dad. They help manage Elena. These two men, now they're not as involved, but these two men even keep her in check. Now, they kind of do it, they're not direct family, so they do it a little more humorously. But think about that. She has a veritable platoon of men keeping her in check, and we still have to stop her, and she still, occasionally puts things out that we're like, that wasn't such a good idea.
But all the men know who the authority really is. It's her husband.
Mm-hmm.
I'm conscious of that when I tell her things. Yeah, I'm going to challenge her, but I'm really not in authority over her.
Well, Steve,
at all.
Steve, how many times have you told her in our group chats, listen to your husband?
Well, quite a few.
Right. That is still you telling her. It's still you placing a restraint on her. The restraint just happens to be listen to your husband now. But even, and I'm saying this is, she is a fairly compliant woman, and it's still she's still a woman. Right. She is still highly dangerous.
Now,
I just want to reiterate that point. If you men think you can routinely get up on panel shows and be around all these other women, as a routine, the only person you're the only person you're hurting is yourself. You are lying to yourself. You can't do it. At some point, you will give up and give in. Sorry, Steve. I'm ranting. Go ahead.
That's fine. So now we're going to go into the nagging wife syndrome. Okay, this is a different dynamic. Now let me go back a couple slides to refresh us. Oops. One more. Okay. 8. Okay, whatever. Can't go back. But remember those about the dynamic subordinate, object of desire, subject of love, pain, pleasure, praise. Okay, you're not gonna do that first one. You're not gonna spank her. You're not gonna smack her on the ass just because it's looking pretty good and I was feeling a little bit playful and wanted to get your attention, and you're not going to do that. You're just going to you've messed up the dynamic. So what happens then? Well, you end up with nagging wife. So let's look at that. 7 signs of a nagging wife and how to stop being one. You disregard your partner and micromanage everything, you might come off as nagging. Well, gee, no shit. If your partner constantly finds fault with you or henpecks you at every drop of a hat, you probably have a nagging wife or husband. Nagging is a feeling of a constant hammering to get things done faster or as they desire. The frequent complaint may also arise from less participation of the other partner or their habit of bypassing responsibilities. Hold on here. They're not doing enough. Well, if the wife is supposed to be the subordinate, it's not her job to tell the boss what to do. Does she act that way at work? Oh, she feels like she can. So I guess she's not really behaving as a subordinate. This constant prodding may not be a character trait, but a repercussion of expectations from a marital relationship and the response obtained. If nagging becomes a constant source of irritation in your life, it may affect your relationship. No shit. You should find out what has gone wrong before it is too late. Well, yeah, I guess. This post focuses on a nagging wife, how to avoid being one, and how to develop understanding with your partner. I hate that word, partner. So you're going to educate a woman in how not to nag. You think this is going to be successful? If you constantly complain about your husband or give instructions, you may be a nagging wife. It may not be intentional, but may affect your marriage relationship. You can try respectfully walking away, staying quiet, or keeping yourself busy to stop henpecking your husband. Oh, yeah, that part about staying quiet. Do you think a woman can do that?
No, she'll talk to the other women and say, "Oh, you deserve a lot better." She'll go to Team Woman. That's a dangerous place to be.
Oh, initially, a wife may politely put across her concerns without being disrespectful. She tries to make her husband understand that she will appreciate that if he will discuss his decisions before taking them. He may tell her that he alone must decide some issues in life, or he might discuss it in the future. Repeated requests or complaints of the wife in such cases may be considered as nagging.
She
Oh,
doesn't respect
see?
him. She doesn't see him as dominant. She doesn't respect him. You're not going to change that. Yeah, I know the work of the Holy Spirit can help some women, sure. But experience tells me that on the whole, they don't. They have a fundamental problem with the man they're with, or how they were raised, or the relationship dynamic itself.
Well, hey, back to the operant conditioning. Maybe she wasn't raised with boundaries or and the restraint or punishment and praise. Maybe she wasn't told when she did wrong and was given consequences for that. So she was just praised the whole time. Oh, you're so great. Oh, yeah, I guess that was a bad thing, but it's not your fault. Do you think a husband's going to have an easy time being married to such a woman?
No,
Or
no,
if her mother wore the pants at home and didn't listen to her father, do you think she respects her father and
no,
will respect her husband?
nope.
So here, when the wife realizes that her spouse has no intention of discussing any important decisions with her, she might get annoyed, speak a bit harshly, and even raise her voice. This is a second stage of nagging. Uh, isn't it his authority to make decisions? Does she treat her boss this way?
No.
So she has more respect for her boss than her husband. Oh, arguments do not resolve the little problems and make relationship worse. Both partners contribute to the degree in which issues are dealt with. Okay, see, it's not her fault. It's both of theirs. Well, you know what? It really is part of his fault because he's not dominant enough. Signs you are a nagging wife, resentment. Oh, yeah, she wants to be in charge. So if you notice your wife resenting you, you might be told, if your man has said that you complain a lot, perhaps he is indirectly or even directly saying you are nagging. Yeah, he has to dance around the issue and he doesn't come right out and say it. Yeah, he's not dominant and he's probably right. Unfair criticism. A nagging wife is never content. Is that true, Nick?
Yep. Because especially if there's a resentment, there's nothing you can do. I mean, it's an internal repulsion from her, and you're probably steps away from getting totally screwed.
Okay. Gives instructions always.
Ugh.
The nagging wife can tell the husband what to do. What happens if the husband tells the wife what to do or even requests what she should do? She rebels, she tells him he's controlling, and she refuses to do it. She actually would.
Mhm.
A nagging wife will refuse to take direction from her husband. There's no partnership here.
In fact, she's probably, as another guy has a book that's about to come out or just came out, she'll be the reviling wife. She'll revile her husband.
Oops.
And you can absolutely make your wife revile you with your behavior. And the church,
Yeah.
that's what the church will tell you to do.
They'll create more reasons for her to disrespect you and revile you because you've already given over to her frame. And the church pretty much only knows how to white knight and blame the man and usurp the man's authority. So you bad man, you didn't Jesus hard enough.
Okay, so let's look at this one. Understanding and overcoming nagging in marriage. The age-old stereotype of a nagging wife, a concept that has been heavily debated, joked about, and perpetuated for generations. Okay, let's keep going down. The dynamics. Oh, it's a common stereotype. Okay, yeah. The stereotype means it's not true, right?
No, the Bible says it's true.
First, it is crucial to acknowledge that the term nagging wife is derogatory and reinforces harmful gender stereotypes. Oh, you see, it's a bad
Feminism left it Marxist feminist alert right here in this.
Okay, guys. I gotta find the Bible verse.
Okay, I'll keep reading. It implies that the woman's concerns and desires are trivial or insignificant, contributing to unequal power dynamics within relationships. Instead of using this label, children, we should strive to have an open and respectful communication to address any conflicts or issues that may arise. See,
Okay.
kindergarten teacher could have told you this.
Now, the Bible
You know.
says, Proverbs 21:9, better to live on a corner of the roof than share a house with a quarrelsome wife. Proverbs 21:19, better to live in a desert than with a quarrelsome and nagging wife. Yeah, the so-called stereotype is true. It exists. They can go pound sand.
So now, role of gender expectations. It's essential to consider the societal and cultural expectations placed on women that can contribute to the perception of a nagging wife. Historically, women have been tasked with managing household responsibilities, including childcare, cooking, and cleaning. This unbalanced distribution of labor can lead to stress and frustration, which may manifest as what some perceive as nagging. Why are things so unbalanced? Why is the labor unbalanced?
They just say that. It's not. It is unbalanced. The man usually has more on his plate. And when he gets home, he still has to deal with more.
He's been working outside of the home all day, but she didn't see him working. Therefore, it didn't actually happen. She's been slaving away in the home all day, and he hasn't done diddly squat to help her. So it's perception.
Yep.
Yeah.
Feminism.
Instead of dismissing complaints as nagging, it's necessary to have an open conversation about addressing imbalances in household responsibilities. By sharing workload and setting realistic expectations, couples can alleviate tension and foster a more equal and supportive partnership.
You know what that means there, Steve, right? What are they advocating there?
Chore play?
There you go. That won't give them the tingles, guys. That'll make them disrespect you even more.
Okay, now here's some more advice. Effective and empathetic communication. Yes. As Homer Simpson would say, the problem is communication. Too much communication. Active listening to understand each other's perspectives. Now, when is a woman capable of listening to her husband and his expectations and perceptions when she's in the process of nagging him? When does she take the time to understand his perspective?
I don't know, Steve. When does that happen? I haven't seen it happen in that environment.
No, you see, it's his job to understand her. It's not her
Oh,
job to understand him.
oh. Well, I thought they're all about equality here.
Well, it is, but it only applies to him.
Oh, okay.
And then expressing needs and concerns without resorting to belittling or insulting language. Now, in your experience, Nick, is it the man or the woman who tends to go to the belittling, insulting language?
It's usually the woman, and they'll perceive you doing belittling and insulting language by just having standards and enforcing them.
Yeah. She gets emotional usually first. And yeah, her language might not be good. The root causes. Okay, one of the main triggers behind nagging is dissatisfaction. A wife may nag her husband if she feels her needs are not being met. Oh, I seem to have heard that phrase many times.
Oh, is that the 5 love languages crap?
No, it's that's acts of service, praise, hugs. I don't know. There's something else.
Well, a lot of times the women will in my experience, I've seen this pushed in the church. They'll read this chit crack, 5 love languages, chit crack, and then they'll come away with all these ways they don't think they're being fulfilled. And they really don't give a crap about what the guy thinks. It just makes them more discontent.
It is true that she's dissatisfied. Another cause of nagging behavior is poor communication. Okay. Oh, effective ways to deal with nagging behavior. Reflect. I think this is advice to the husband. Reflect on your actions. Take a moment to self-reflect and consider if your behavior is contributing to your wife's nagging. Are there any areas where you can improve or compromise? Okay, hold on. The word compromise, women don't understand that word. That means, in a woman's mind, compromise means he accommodates her. He gives in. Address her concerns. Engage in open and honest communication to understand the underlying concerns that lead her to nagging. Listen attentively and offer reassurance and support. Create a plan together. Work together to find solutions and compromises that address both partners' needs. This can help establish a sense of teamwork and reduce nagging behavior. Set clear expectations. Okay, hold on. When a wife nags, she's emotional. When she's emotional, her ability to think calmly and rationally is not present. I mean, so you're going to have this logical, respectful discussion. Yeah, in all my years, this has never worked, even though I've tried it. Never once has it worked.
You're just invalidating her feelings.
Yeah. Oh, here's examples of the trigger alert. Lack of quality time, financial challenges, unmet emotional needs. Oh man.
I
Yeah,
think we've already talked about the solution to those earlier, Steve. Some of
yeah.
those anyways.
Implement healthy boundaries. And who's going to do that? Boundaries require some authority in enforcement. A man who's married to a nagging wife has no authority to enforce boundaries. Using I statements. Yeah, have you ever tried to ask a nagging wife to use I statements when she's angry? No, she uses lots of you statements. It just doesn't work. Seeking couples therapy. Oh, yeah, that's a great one. Oh, active listening, validate and empathize, collaborative problem solving. You know what? I read all this crap when my first marriage. I tried to apply this shit. It doesn't work.
No,
She won't
no.
accept it. Things are too emotional. It will not work.
Nope. Will not work.
Nope.
Ever. Nope.
Enter the red pill.
Take your suppository, gentlemen. Just take it. Just
Yeah.
accept it.
So I got one more here.
Sounded like taking dating and marital advice from a feminist or a simp.
Yeah. Okay, I don't think we're going to learn anything more in here. This one's by Omar Ruiz. If your wife's nagging is getting to you, there are various ways to cope. Stay calm and respectful, and if necessary, disengage. Okay, so this one's written by a man. Okay, protect your emotional health. Okay, guess you should meditate. Calm down. Take breaths. Soothing music. Walk away. What happens when you walk away, Nick?
They chase you down.
I was going to
They don't
say,
let
if
you
you
walk
ever
away.
you ever want to see a
Don't let
woman
you
get
walk away.
really mad, walk away.
Yeah, for me, that's usually when the actual hitting towards me and stuff and tackling happened. Was like I had enough. There's nowhere where I could solve a situation. I took a break. I said, I need to go. Nope.
Acknowledge your emotions. Yeah, this is useful. You can't do anything about her. All you can really control is yourself. And if you become reactive to her, that only escalates. So, yeah, okay. Practice self care. Spend time outside. Treat yourself to your favorite food. Take time to go catch a movie. Or avoid her more. Just spend more time at work. Yeah, that one's
I've done
pretty
that.
common.
I've done that.
I think anybody who's been in a relationship with a contentious woman has done that. I mean,
Vent your frustrations.
I did that at my car windshield for hours.
Talk to a friend, another male friend, not a female friend. Don't do that. It's not helpful. And that one's a good one. Your buddy
Yeah.
can give you a lot of advice, and he just understanding. Maybe not even advice, just someone to talk to. Are you mad your wife asked you to take out the trash? Okay, so again, offer to negotiate. Right.
You've already lost.
Yeah.
You cannot negotiate with women. You've already lost if you're negotiating.
Clarify your feelings. He doesn't give a shit about your feelings.
No, they don't. Go talk to your buddies.
Reassure yourself. I think happy thoughts, I guess. Oh, work towards better communication. Listen carefully. Find a way to agree. Show affection. Yeah, okay.
No,
You get the
no.
picture here, right?
Withdrawing affection actually might be the best thing at that point.
No, don't you remember the earlier one, Nick? No, that's what was that intermittent they would just call it abuse.
Everything's that these days. I
Yeah.
believe it's abuse.
Pretty much.
So I think I only have one more slide here. No, I have two more. The promoted advice, to summarize, what do we learn from these articles? Basically, she is justified for nagging. She has a good reason to do it. And then what's he supposed to do? He needs to understand her better and validate her. And really, to stop her raging, he should actually just comply with her demand or spend money on her. Reward her, love her more. And what's his goal? What does he want? She might temporarily reward him with peace, like stop nagging, and sex.
Mm-hmm. Man, this reminds me of some of the Dalrock episodes, some of the Dalrock articles, sorry, about the women that would come on and all the Christian counselors would come on and they had this stuff about fireproof and other stuff. And it's be like, oh, it's all his fault. He just needs to get right. And he needs to, understand her better and validate her. The reason she's not a good woman is because he's not a good man. He needs to validate her feelings and so on and so forth. Then she might respond better. It doesn't work. Where'd Steve go?
We lose Steve.
Is it just me? No, he's gone.
No, he
Okay.
Well, yeah, look, all of this comes down to this idea that just because your wife is nagging, appeasement will work. And I mean, the women sure enjoy the appeasement. They like the temporal benefits of it, but they're still going to hate your guts even more after you do it.
I'm not sure that the women
They-
really even enjoy it. Because
Hence why they're the,
that balance, subordinate, object of desire, subject of love, spank, fuck, hug. A woman who getting those three things, okay, she's being stimulated. It's fun. She's not in control. She's not responsible. She's not telling him what to do. It's kind of a peaceful place to be. She doesn't have the burden of managing everything.
Well, the reason I say that is because I have seen this happen quite frequently where guys will go to the church, to therapy, whatever. The therapist pastor will say, do the things on the screen, right? And he will. And for a time, the relationship gets better because she does enjoy those things in the short term, right? It does feel good in the short term as a woman to have the man basically kissing the ground you walk on. But that is, yes, the underlying nature is going to eventually rear its head and take over. But for a period of time, she actually does enjoy them. It's just not the same. It's just not the same kind of enjoyment. But remember, she also has all her friends telling her that, oh, this is such a good thing. He's doing all these nice things for you. So she's got the longhouse egging her on, right? Too. So, I'm not saying it's a permanent kind of like true enjoyment, but they
Right.
do enjoy it for a time.
Okay, it is her desire. Back to Genesis 3. Your desire will be for your husband. That really means your desire will be to rule over your husband. She is getting what she desires and accomplishing it. It does feel good for a time,
Yes. Yeah.
but it's temporary. So, this is the last slide. Her actions: nag, reward, withhold. She nags, she gets rewarded by him complying, and then she withholds love, attention, sex, so she can remain in control. His reactions are validate. Yes. Yes, I did forget to take out the garbage. Oh, yeah, I'll get right on that. Comply. And hope that she'll stop nagging him and that he might get sex. So, what behavior are you enforcing here?
you're enforcing this behavior.
It's, hey, go back to that operant conditioning. Every time she nags and he validates and complies, he's rewarding her and confirming her superiority. She will repeat the nagging. The conclusion is he has no frame or leadership. He can't impose any boundaries on her. He is not dominant. He is not leading the relationship. She doesn't feel secure with him because he's not dominant. I mean, can a woman really respect a man who she can't look up to? If she can control that man, what use is he to protect her from the scary world? If little old, 140-pound her can dominate and control big 200-pound him, she seems kind of pathetic. Why? Why would there be a good relationship?
Right. And some women you cannot lead in any sense. They're for the streets. Don't ever
Well,
get involved with one of them.
yeah, this is why I keep saying on here, on Twitter, to any man who will listen, I don't care about your money, muscles, and game. If you have no frame, you're done. It's over.
Right.
Okay. I'm not saying money, muscles, gamers are bad, but they are always and everywhere subservient to frame. They are supporting players. Okay. So you can, and the church will tell you ad infinitum that what we call frame is abuse. Well, then I guess what the church really wants is for men to not get married. Oh, look at what is happening with Gen Z. 63% of men under the age of 30 are not interested in dating. Single men. 63%. And everyone wonders, why won't the birth rate go up? Duh.
So, why is this war bride sociology? Because it works. You have to have this, as a man, have this mentality. You're the warrior. She wants the warrior. You're the dominant one. Yes, you have the power to inflict pain, give her pleasure, and praise. And the man who smacks her on her ass, gives her a good seeing to in bed, and then praises her once in a while. She will, man, can you imagine how her face lights up when she gets praise from that man? And okay, is he a boring man? No. This is kind of fun. It's not boring. It's secure. Yeah, you need the variability in your relationship in order to keep it stable or long term, I mean. But if it's too boring, it just doesn't work for her.
And then people want to get all their panties to wad saying, well, the Bible doesn't talk about war brides and all this. Well, no, Steve went back to Genesis. We've talked about the nagging wife, and also there are war brides in the Bible. In Deuteronomy chapter 21 says, when the Lord your God gives you victory in battle and you take prisoners, you may see among them a beautiful woman that you like and want to marry. Take her to your home where she will shave her head, cut her fingernails, change her clothes. She is to stay in your home and mourn for her parents for a month. After that, you may marry her. Later, if you no longer want her, you are to let her go free. Since you forced her to have intercourse with you, you cannot treat her as a slave and sell her.
See, why are there red-headed people in Norway and Ireland?
War brides.
Yeah, those Vikings, they got on their longboats and they sailed down to Ireland and they raised some hell and planted some seed, took some women, killed some men.
Fact of life.
And okay, and I'll guarantee you, here's what happens. And this happens in war all the time. It's this is war bride stuff. The conquering men come in and kill the local men. And for survival purposes, the women are taken. And for survival purposes, they end up loving and marrying the conquerors. And it's happened throughout history. So, being a dominant man, there is something about that that's attractive to the women. Because all these war brides, and I told you, when the U.S. won World War I, II, Korean War, Vietnam War, well, we didn't win all those, but never mind. They still brought home brides because the women were attracted to these men. It worked. They were warriors. They were war brides. If you have a little bit of this mentality, and these were not egalitarian marriages. And, historically, these marriages actually lasted longer than our current style of egalitarian marriage because the divorce rate is much higher now. So, does it work now? Yeah, okay. Who in their 20s? What are the women doing?
OF.
And they're kind of having fun with Chad and Tyrone. The dominant, fun guys. Guys who don't necessarily treat them all that well. Who may smack them on the ass once in a while. But show them a good time. Love them and leave them. And the women sign up for this. Okay, they're not waiting for the nice guy. They're not giving a chance to the nice guy. The man who's the orbiter, who's always there to do her favors and whatnot. Is she hooking up with him? Are they dating? Are they going to become boyfriend, girlfriend? It's not happening, folks. So what's wrong in our society? It's too much egalitarian. It's not enough male dominance, which means saying no to women. Mixing up a little bit of pain, pleasure, and praise. And you need all of them. And no, I'm not advocating controlling women because that's too damn much work to be that controlling of every aspect of their life. I mean, I'm not going to spend that much time.
I don't. Fuck that.
I mean, yeah, I'm going to be playful. I'm going to do a little bit of this, a little bit of that. But micromanaging? Fuck no.
What a headache. What a headache. They'll probably give you just as much irritation as the nagging wife. Not worth it.
And okay, one more thing. I'm sure those people out there who are saying, oh, what you're advocating is dangerous because they might accuse you of abuse and blah, blah, blah. Okay, let's address that. What was that? Traumatic bonding, back when I read that. Didn't I say something in there about the woman returning to the abusive man?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. No, I'm not advocating abuse. Okay. I'm just saying she sticks with the guy who's dominant.
Right.
who can impose consequences and boundaries and all that, she will stay with him. And okay, this dynamic probably means she's less apt to report him and make a fuss in court. And you've heard all those stories about how women who just can't get away, the true women who can't get away from their abusive husbands, and oh, those poor women, and they're so brainwashed because they keep going back. Okay, well, I'm sure it's true. But again, the woman who has lost respect for her man, who has contempt for him because she's the nagging wife who controls him, she's got no respect, and he's a pathetic, contemptuous, or contemptible man. She has no qualms about constructing a narrative to financially destroy him, take his kids, to destroy his reputation. It's those nagging women who were not dominated are the greater risk, the much greater
Yes.
risk.
Absolutely.
It sounds like a paradox, but guys, I'm telling you, it's true.
There's a greater risk in not being dominant, because then it creates a lot of that contemptuous behavior, like Steve's saying. And yeah, Steve's lived it. I've lived it. Still living it. False accusations aplenty.
I lived it. Thank God for no false accusations, though. Whew.
Yeah, you didn't have kids.
Yeah, right. She couldn't leverage kids on her way out. Look, guys, here's the thing. It is very unfortunate that we have to say that modern women are not for most men. And I can already hear the reeing from the "but my birth rate" crowd. I don't care. Humanity has been through worse and survived. We will survive this. Okay. None of God's laws and commandments have been violated if the birth rate falls under replacement. I've thought about this theologically for weeks now, and I cannot find, where it says that we have to maintain above replacement rate at all times. Okay. But look, men, for most of you, you're not going to be able to do this, and that's okay. These women today are not worth it. Either they are going to be always contentious, like that's just who they are. That's who they were raised to be. You don't want that woman, or you're going to have to.
You don't want her. The more rebellious, the more feral, wild, higher notch count, the more experience she has, the more force would be required to bring her in line, and you could never trust her anyway. But that amount of force is way, way beyond what's legal or what any average sane man would even want to do. Oh man, no, hell no. Count me out. Even if it were legal, count me out. I don't want that. That's too much work.
Well, then look, because there's this other problem. Let's say you do find I'm going to air quotes here, good woman. You've got the entire society working against you. All of the church is working against you. All of the secular society is working against you. All of the government institutions are working for you. or working against you. There is absolutely nobody here to help you maintain this relationship. So you have to ride at just this incredibly fine line. And the chances are you're going to fall off the line at some point. And look, yes, I'm married to a relatively compliant woman. And I was still telling you guys earlier about what level of restraint it takes. I mean, yeah, she's in the chat laughing about the fact that it takes a village to restrain a woman. That's because she knows how many men are involved in restraining her. And it still doesn't always work. Right? Well, but see, guys, this is what you're dealing with. And so for most of you, if you say, nah, I don't want to deal with women, I will shake your hand and I will say, good man.
The worst thing, if there's kind of a chance you found a good woman, you want to marry her, then don't bring poison into your marriage. And the poison of the marriage is the state, because she gets all kinds of additional power from the civil marriage. Yeah, she gets some of that power if you're just living together, but she gets massive amounts of power and support from the state to destroy your marriage. The state will never help your marriage. It's always on the side of destruction, always on the side of the woman. It gives her levers of power and control over you that I think it's just way dangerous to be civilly married. Now, if you're religious,
That's not even real marriage. That's not even real marriage, though. It's a false marriage.
If you're not a Christian, there's no reason for you to ever get married. For a man. Now, a woman's going to want it because it gives her status and power. But if you're religious, you can try and have you can try and have a religious marriage. There's all kinds of precedent throughout history. In the Bible, people got married. The state didn't validate their marriage. In the Old West, in the U.S., what happened there, Nick?
People got married, but the state wasn't involved necessarily.
And how did they get married?
At a church?
Or justice of the peace?
Yeah.
How did they record their marriage?
They didn't?
They did. In the front of their Bible.
Yeah. Okay.
If you've looked at an old-time Bible, it's got some pages in there for stuff like that. That you fill in the name, and you sign, and there's witnesses. Okay, that's it. There was no marriage license. Yet, people did it. So, you can say, well, it's illegal today. Yeah, okay, whatever. Lots of things. Lots of things. Or the church won't approve. Why does the church require you to involve the government in a religious matter? But okay, we've kind of gotten off topic here. The thing I wanted to really stress is war bride sociology. It's a dynamic in the human condition. You don't need to go back to Evo Psych to say, hey, this works. It's biblical. The dominance and the hierarchy have to exist in the marriage. And if you don't, you're going to end up with a nagging wife and a sexless marriage. So your risk of being happy, or your risk of finding happiness without being a dominant man, is next to zero. I mean, it's just your success rate is next to zero. The risk is almost 100% of either getting divorced, losing a lot of money, losing access to your kids, or staying in a nagging, miserable marriage. If you're not dominant, that's your future. So take a war bride.
Is this the original Passport Brewing?
Why, yes, it is, Nick. There were just no passports involved.
Right.
Okay, I got to bring this. Okay, but even if it's a religious marriage and they cohabitate, the laws are still against the men. This is a woman thinking here. Alana's great, but yeah, okay, yeah, kind of. Don't get all catastrophic and go to the extreme. Yes, they're still mildly against the man, but not as much so. You're mitigating the risk. You're not eliminating it. Just because you can't eliminate it doesn't mean you shouldn't mitigate it. And, if you put the house in your name and only you are on the mortgage and you make her sign a lease, guess what? If she files charges and there's a clause in the lease that says you can boot her out, well, okay, so she boots you out of the house. You bring it to your lawyer and say, you know what? I'm invoking this. And she gets booted out. Now the house is vacant. Okay, you kept some of your power. You mitigated your risk. Nothing's perfect. You can only do the best that you can do. You can't do better than that. You can't fix things beyond the ability for them to be fixed in our modern world.
Can't.
It's
There's
not
what
your
ought to be, and there is what is.
well, more to the point, Steve, it's not our job, it's not our place to try and fix the world's ills. I mean, if you're a Christian, that's God's job.
I mean, do what you can. You can be a witness, and you can push for the good of society and community.
Sure.
You
All
do what
those
you
things
can,
are where
but you do
where
what you can.
well, you do what you can, and when I read the Bible, a lot of what it's telling Christians to do is to help other people through the crises. I mean, Nick, you were
Yep.
talking about being a witness, right? I mean, you do
Yep.
what you can, but this idea that you have to solve the crisis, I'm going to say this as a Christian, if you're out here going, no, we have to solve the crisis, go back, read Judges, read Kings. God routinely brings crises to his people for the express purpose of teaching lessons, of resetting them. It sucks. I don't like it, but it's right there in the Bible for you.
This problem will not be solved politically because history doesn't have many examples of that. Usually things just get really bad and then there's a crisis, all kinds of turmoil, hardship, pain. When they put it back together after a generation or two, things are better. Yeah, didn't the Israelites wander around the Sinai Peninsula for 40 years?
Yeah, weren't they judged several times and taken into captivity? Yeah,
Wait, 40 years? That's like 2 generations.
that's one. That's one generation. But yeah,
Well,
biblically, it's one generation. But yeah,
no, it's it's 2 generations, but one lifespan. Because there would be, people generally give birth around, or 20-year-olds have children. So 20 plus 20 is 2 generations. But the, the people generally lived 40 plus, around 40 years then. So depending on how you count it, we say generations now are what, 20 years, right? The millennials, the Xers, the boomers were a bit longer than that. A generation's 20 years in the birth length.
Well, 20 to 25, but yeah, that's roughly.
In other words, the problem's not going to be solved in my lifetime, because I'm 62. Chances are the problem is the solution will not be implemented possibly in Plutarch and next lifetime either.
I ain't
Maybe
counting
you
on it.
will. But if history is any predictor, the problem is not going to be solved until possibly 40 years from now.
no, it is what it is. So, War Bride Sociology. Hmm. It needs a dominant masculine man, and you need a more or less a compliant woman.
And it needs to start from the beginning of the relationship. You cannot change the dynamics once they're set. And here's another bit of warning. If you come in with kind of a dominant presence, dominant masculine presence, and it's set up this way, and then she wears you down, and then it moves into like the nagging wife thing. Once it degrades, I don't think it can return. I think the man has a big task because he's got to maintain this dynamic. It's his job to maintain the dynamic. And if he loses it, I don't think he can get it back.
And don't go to the church elders. Don't go to counseling, because then you give up your frame. You've lost your dominant masculine presence. And the dynamic will change to her being a perpetual victim and you not being loving enough, not Jesus hearting enough, not being a compliant man, compliant to her instead of being dominant. So you have, like Steve saying, you have to maintain this dominant masculine presence. As Andrew says, bottom line, no man should marry unless he's willing and able to be dominant and have unbreakable frame. There you go.
And not just willing and able, but he simply is dominant.
Yes.
Okay.
Right.
It's his nature. It's it's a core competency. And how do you learn? How do you develop core competency? Comes with practice. If any of you have ever taken any kind of martial arts, you practice the moves. First, you have to do it in slow motion, and you practice it with partners and opponents, and then you do it faster. Then you do it in a stressful situation, and repetition until it becomes part of you. In other words, you don't have to think about it. It's muscle memory. It just happens. Okay, so you don't this idea that if you don't have it, well, I'm just not that guy. I won't have that. Yeah, that doesn't mean you can't develop it. It means you have to practice, you have to study, and then you have to go out and implement it, and you have to try. And yeah, the first few times you're being dominant around this woman may not feel natural. Probably won't. You just don't let her know that you have internal uncertainty. Just, fake it till you make it. Pretend, try until you see the reactions from her and see if it works. And if it doesn't work with her, she might not be the right woman for you. It's like raising a child with discipline. They experience it. It becomes part of them. And then as they grow up and move out of the home, they have the self-discipline because they know the boundaries and all that stuff. They can apply it to themselves. So yeah, they don't, it's not just good kids or bad kids necessarily. Yeah, some are better than others, but a lot of them, it's how they were raised. It's how their father, did they have a dominant father?
And there's a reason why that's a red flag in the red pill community. Not having a father, and secondly, is it the father a simp?
Well, I think we kind of exhausted this. I hope there was some new information here, or I presented things in a way that causes people to think and see this issue from a different perspective, or maybe with a bit more depth.
I learned a little something. I haven't seen
You
it
learned,
tackled this way before, so
Yeah.
you learned a little bit about this volatile element called woman.
okay. Those slides are classic, Stevie. Those are
I
worth
have another.
preserving.
I have another analogy. Okay, women can be similar to uranium. Like uranium, okay, it's uranium-235. Okay, you put two or a bunch of uranium atoms together. What happens? They interact and it can go critical. And you put them in a nuclear reactor, you get energy. They heat up. Uranium interacts with uranium. What do you do to mitigate that? Oh, you need to put rods of boron down. So, if you get a group of women in the workplace with no men around, it's going to be highly reactive. And just one woman in your marriage, she's going to be reactive, and she requires your mitigation to cool down the reaction and keep it under control.
But women are radioactive. Oh. Well, I don't think many of our, if any women besides Elena listen to this.
Probably the only
Oh,
one.
that Steve Seven man. Huh? The descriptors are the problem. Sorry you don't like the facts, folks. They are what they are. A woman is what a woman is.
Well, I got nothing more.
All right.
Yep. I got nothing more either.
Oh, I do have something more.
Uh-oh.
If you want to go into this dynamic a little bit more, go to Elena's Bar Fitness, watch the last 2 Saturday episodes, and tune in on this Saturday at 9:15 Pacific Time, 11:15 Central Time, because we're going to talk about love and that component that women need love. And I guess the praise and the attention kind of falls in that category too. But it's more the attention of love.
All right. So, guys, please give us comments ask us questions in the comments. Please like and subscribe. Please share this to other men that might benefit from this discussion. And we'll see you Saturday, if not next Wednesday. I think I'm going to do something on Dalrock and Warhorn next Wednesday. Yeah. So examine the drama and then do a little analysis of where they are coming from and why they say what they say. So we'll see y'all next time. Later.
Later.
There was a firefight! Son of a bitch!